In a world where battles were fought by men, there were warriors who broke the norm. Fearless, skilled and determined, they were the Shieldmaidens, women who took up swords and shields just like the fiercest Viking men. But who were they really? What drove them to fight beside men in an age where women were expected to stay behind? The answer lies in the forgotten tales of the North, where courage and bloodline define who you are. Today, we uncover the legendary Shieldmaidens, the true warriors of the Viking Age. Vikings are often remembered for their strength in battle, their brutal raids, and their glorious conquests. But amidst the rows of fierce warriors stood a group of women who defied traditional roles. Known as the Shieldmaidens, these women were not mere spectators of battle, but warriors who stood shoulder to shoulder with men on the front lines. The Shieldmaidens were rare, and their stories are often lost in the shadows of Viking history. But history tells us they existed. These women were trained in combat from a young age, learning to wield swords, axes and shields with the same skill as any Viking warrior. They fought in battles, defended their people, and were respected as equals in combat. In Viking society, women were seen as strong, capable figures, responsible for running households and overseeing family matters. But the Shieldmaidens pushed this image to its limits. Many Shieldmaidens were daughters of noble Viking chiefs or warriors, and some even held their own lands and fought to protect them. But what made them truly unique was their unwavering courage to pick up arms and take to the battlefield alongside the men. Their name comes from the shield that they carried into battle, often made of wood or iron, round in shape and light enough to be wielded with one hand. The shield symbolized their strength, their courage, and their commitment to protecting their people, their lands, and their honor. Shieldmaidens were more than just warriors. They were symbols of defiance and resilience in a world dominated by men. While many Viking women held important roles in Viking society, as farmers, traders, and even political leaders, the Shieldmaidens were particularly significant because they challenged gender norms in ways that were unheard of at the time. In Viking culture, warriors were highly respected, and battle prowess was seen as the ultimate measure of one's worth. The Shieldmaidens were not just respected, they were feared. They earned their place in battle through blood, sweat, and courage. Some legends say that the Shieldmaidens were the daughters of Viking chieftains who trained them to fight from childhood, while others believe that they were women who chose the path of battle later in life, inspired by their warrior ancestors. The Valkyries, often depicted as divine figures in Norse mythology, were said to be supernatural women who chose the bravest of fallen warriors to carry to Valhala, the Hall of the Slain. Some historians and scholars argue that the Shieldmaidens may have been inspired by these Valkyries, representing the idealized version of a warrior woman who fought, lived, and died with honor. Whether myth or reality, the Valkyries' tales reinforce the idea of the Shieldmaiden as a warrior who would fight until the very end. In battle, the Shieldmaidens were often seen leading troops into war. They weren't relegated to the backlines or tasked with lesser duties. Their bravery and skill in combat earned them the admiration of their peers, and many even achieved high status in Viking society. While many Shieldmaidens remain shrouded in mystery, there are a few legendary figures whose names have been immortalized in Viking sagas and stories. These women were not only warriors, but leaders, and their tales continue to inspire people around the world today. One of the most famous Shieldmaidens is Lagertha, a fierce warrior, and the wife of the legendary Viking king Ragnar Lothbrok. According to the sagas, Lagertha was an unstoppable force in battle, and she even fought in one of Ragnar's battles, helping him defeat an invading army. Her bravery and leadership earned her a respected place in Viking history. Another famous figure is Freydís Eiríksdóttir, the daughter of the famous Viking explorer Leif Erikson. She played a crucial role in the Viking expedition to North America, where she famously stood her ground against a group of hostile natives, defending her people with nothing but her courage and her sword. Freydís' story is one of the most powerful examples of Viking women fighting for survival, and her tale is still remembered today in Icelandic folklore. These women were warriors, but they were also leaders, fighting not just for their people, but for their place in history. They show that Viking society was more complex and diverse than the typical tales of male warriors. Women, like Lagertha and Freydís, were not just spectators of history. They were the ones shaping it. The idea of the Shield Maiden didn't only live in the battlefield, it was also deeply embedded in Viking mythology and sagas. The Valkyries in Norse mythology were often described as beautiful, powerful women who rode into battle, carrying the souls of fallen warriors to the halls of Valhala. In some versions of the sagas, the Valkyries were described as shield maidens themselves, women who fought in the wars of gods and men. The connection between the Valkyries and the Shield Maidens is clear. Both groups were seen as strong, independent, and willing to fight for honor and glory. The sagas also tell stories of other heroic women warriors, such as Brynhilda, a shield maiden who defied the gods and even battled the great hero Sigurd. Her story, full of betrayal, love, and revenge, is one of the most famous in Viking legend, demonstrating that Viking women were often as complex and multidimensional as their male counterparts. In many ways, the Shield Maidens represented the idealized version of Viking women, strong, fearless, and uncompromising. They were the embodiment of Viking values, representing courage, honor, and a deep commitment to the fight, no matter the cost. The legacy of the Shield Maidens has endured far beyond the Viking Age. Today, they are symbols of empowerment and equality, showing that women have always been capable of fighting for what they believe in. The Shield Maidens challenge the idea that history has always been a man's world and demonstrate the power of female warriors who broke boundaries. In modern culture, Shield Maidens have been featured in movies, books, and television shows, most notably in the popular TV series Vikings, where Lagertha is portrayed as one of the fiercest warriors. The legacy of the Shield Maidens continues to inspire women today, proving that strength, leadership, and courage are not confined to a single gender. The Viking Shield Maidens remind us that the women have always been a part of history's greatest battles, whether they were fighting for survival, for their homes, or for the right to stand alongside their male counterparts. They are proof that the courage to fight for what's right is not bound by gender. It's bound by heart, spirit, and the will to survive. If you enjoyed this epic journey into the world of Viking Shield Maidens, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Eternal Viking family for more legendary stories. Let us know in the comments. Would you have been a shield maiden fighting alongside the Vikings? Subscribe for more Viking history, myth, and legends. Until next time, stay fierce, stay brave, and never back down.